The Sierra Nevada mountains, wild, rugged, and impossibly beautiful. This time, I set out on one of the premier treks in the High Sierra, the 55-mile North Lake to South Lake Loop. Over 3 days and 2 nights, I hiked through some of the most breathtaking terrain in the Range of Light. From snow-covered passes to lush alpine meadows and glassy, glacial-fed lakes, this trail was nothing short of unforgettable. I was also joined by my good friend Harmen, which took the entire experience to the next level. It felt less like a backpacking trip and more like a dream I never wanted to wake from. This is why I hike, and this is why I explore. Join me for this incredible adventure in the High Sierra. Let's dive in. Day 1. In late September, under a crisp Sierra morning sky, my parents dropped me off at the North Lake campground, just outside of Bishop, California. It was the start of a long-anticipated journey, the 55-mile North Lake to South Lake Loop, a route I had dreamed about for years. Entering the John Muir Wilderness, just starting out on the North to South Lake Loop. And I am super excited. Got about a 17-mile hike in today. Gonna hike all the way to the John Muir Trail. So up 5 miles to Piute Pass. And then I have about 12, 11-ish miles downhill through the canyons. I think one of them is called French Canyon, to the John Muir Trail. So full day of hiking ahead of me. Started at 8:15, so I feel like I have plenty of time to get there. I don't feel rushed, which is good. So, and the weather looks fantastic. It's perfectly clear, so I think it's going to be a very enjoyable day. And I'm meeting a special person on this trip. His name is Harmen, and I haven't met him before, but I've seen his videos on YouTube, and we've chatted a few times before, and it seems like a good guy, so we're gonna be connecting to do this trail together. So, really looking forward to the day. With a quiet goodbye, I shouldered my pack and began hiking up the Piute Pass trail. My pack was very heavy, with an oversized 3-person tent and even packed Crocs for camp. But most of the weight came from food, enough for 4 days, totaling nearly 4,500 calories per day. Water's been pretty mellow so far. I was expecting it to be raging, but quite pleased with what I'm seeing. Reason being is I have a couple of stream crossings, actually the San Joaquin River tomorrow, and the bridge is washed out, as probably a lot of you know. And so gonna have to ford the river tomorrow, but it's looking very, very mellow so far. So look at this view. Oh my God. Early fall color. The morning light filtered through the trees, dancing on the waters of the North Fork of Bishop Creek, which was still flowing well for early fall. The trail climbed gradually alongside the North Fork of Bishop Creek, winding through sunlit forests and granite slabs as I made my way towards the first alpine lake on the route. It's Piute Canyon. Starting to get above the tree line. Very exposed. And from my memory, this section up here, a bunch of switchbacks, pretty exposed. So almost to the first lake. The first alpine lake I reached was Loch Leven, perched at around 10,700 feet above sea level. Coming into Loch Leven, first lake of the trail. Beautiful. Looking back down Piute Canyon. Here is Loch Leven. Very pretty. Still quite a bit of snow. End of September.
At the outlet of Loch Leven, the water spilled gently over smooth granite, forming a clear, tumbling stream that continued its descent towards the valley below, a quiet reminder of the elevation I was steadily gaining. Its calm, reflective waters mirrored the granite peaks surrounding it, an early reminder of the natural beauty that defines this trail. Not far beyond, Piute Lake came into view. Larger and more open, it sits cradled beneath the pass and marks the final push to the top. These high alpine lakes, carved by glaciers, hold not only scenic value but a deep cultural history. These trails were once traversed by the Piute and other indigenous peoples for trade and migration. After filling my bottle with the cold, clear water from Piute Lake, I began the final ascent towards Piute Pass. The trail grew steeper and rockier, weaving through patches of alpine tundra as the midday sun beat down, radiating off the granite and making the high elevation climb feel even more demanding. Bright clusters of high alpine flowers clung to the rocky slopes near Piute Pass, adding bursts of color to the otherwise stark granite landscape. Approaching 11,417-foot Piute Pass, I encountered a lingering snowfield. It was expansive and treacherous, riddled with large holes, and I had to pick a safe path to cross, which took time and much care. It was a stark reminder of how quickly conditions can shift in the High Sierra. From the pass, I descended into Humphreys Basin, a broad expanse of granite and sky, and continued down the Piute Canyon Trail, past Summit Lake, into French Canyon.
Made it over the sketchy pass. That ice was a little sketchy. It was pretty thin in some places, so I had to kind of navigate where the thick parts of the snow were, so slowed me down a bit, but made it over unscathed, which is what's important. And now I'm in the basin. This is the basin here. Making my way down to the lakes. I think that's Summit Lake down here. Should be downhill all the way to the John Muir Trail junction.
As I descended from Summit Lake into French Canyon, a network of clear, icy streams twisted through the meadows around Lower Golden Trout Lake, their waters weaving between wildflowers and polished stone like silver threads across a green canvas. The landscape transformed dramatically. Towering canyon walls closed in, and the trail followed the steady flow of Piute Creek towards its confluence with the South Fork of the San Joaquin River.
Trail's starting to turn, and now I'm going to start heading down French Canyon. Beautiful.
Like many parts of the Sierra, water was plentiful. Small creeks and flowing streams crossed the trail often, making it easy to stay hydrated and fill my bottles straight from the cold, clean flow of the mountains. Leaving the wide embrace of French Canyon, the trail began to descend steadily into Piute Canyon, where the landscape tightened and the granite walls rose higher around me. The air grew cooler in the shade of the canyon, and the sound of Piute Creek gained volume as I dropped lower, following its winding course through dense pine forests and over rocky trail. The shift in terrain felt dramatic, a descent from open alpine meadows into a deeper, more enclosed wilderness corridor. As I hiked deeper into Piute Canyon, the distant murmur of Piute Creek grew into a steady roar, echoing off the granite walls and guiding me downward like a natural compass. With each switchback, the sound grew louder and more insistent until the thunder of rushing water filled the canyon air, reminding me of the power coursing through these remote, high country landscapes. By 5 p.m., I reached the junction with the John Muir Trail and Pacific Crest Trail, an iconic meeting point for long-distance hikers. There, I met up with my friend Harmen, who had started the John Muir Trail a week earlier in Yosemite Valley.
Nice to meet you.
Together, we headed over the Piute Creek Bridge, and we're now in Kings Canyon National Park, heading southbound on the John Muir Trail. Excited to be hiking with a friend in the wilderness, we found an idyllic campsite above the river.
And I told him, like, can you bring me 2 breakfast burritos, please? He was laughing about it. An hour later, I walked up to the ranch, and this guy, he's just packing his stuff in his bag, and he called to me, "Do you want a burrito?"
Wow.
That night, we reflected on our respective journeys besides a warm campfire. My GPS recorded 22.7 miles, 2,300 feet of ascent, and 3,500 feet of descent over 9.5 hours of hiking. It was a full day, and sleep came very easy.
Yeah, I think I do it. One more time.
Day 2. Morning arrived with clear skies and soft light filtering through the trees. As the first light crept over the canyon walls, we kept breakfast very simple. A strong cup of coffee and a couple of quick snacks to fuel the day ahead. The air was crisp and still, and the steady flow of the South Fork of the San Joaquin River just below our campsites provided a peaceful soundtrack as the wilderness slowly came to life around us. We packed up and began the gradual ascent towards Evolution Valley, a stretch renowned for its pristine meadows and alpine grandeur. Along the way, we passed John Muir Rock and Aspen Meadow, tranquil landmarks that felt timeless. The bridge over the South Fork San Joaquin had been destroyed by early season floods, forcing us to ford the river. The current was strong, but with steady footing and trekking poles, we crossed safely. We crossed the sturdy wooden bridge over the South Fork of the San Joaquin River at the Goddard Canyon Junction, the water roaring beneath our feet, and began the steep climb of tightly wound switchbacks that led us into the sweeping alpine beauty of Evolution Valley. The terrain became more dramatic with every step, and then we arrived at McClure Meadow.
So I think beyond that ridge, on the lake.
Yeah. Wow. Look at this place. Oh my gosh.
It was stunning. McClure Meadow opens wide beneath towering granite peaks like the Hermit and Mount Mendel. A meandering stream cut through golden grasslands, and for a moment, time seemed to slow. These meadows have long captured the imaginations of hikers and naturalists, including John Muir himself, and standing there, it wasn't very hard to see why. From there, we continued climbing through McGee Canyon, passing Evolution Lake, set like a jewel in its rocky basin.
Wow.
Around Evolution Lake, deer moved quietly through the basin, grazing among the wildflowers and granite outcrops, their calm presence matching the peaceful stillness that seemed to settle over the entire landscape. As we hiked past Evolution Lake, the trail hugged its shoreline, offering uninterrupted views of its deep blue waters, reflecting the jagged peaks above. The stillness of the lake, framed by granite and sky, made it feel like we were walking through a painting. Remote, pristine, and almost otherworldly in its beauty. We pushed onward until just before dusk, we reached Wanda Lake. At 11,500 feet, Wanda Lake is a high alpine lake named for one of John Muir's daughters. We made camp along its southeastern edge, knowing that a snowstorm was forecasted for the next evening. That changed our plans. Instead of taking another 2 days to finish the loop, we do it all in one long push the following day. We ate quickly and settled in for the night. That day we covered 21.8 miles, climbed 3,900 feet, and descended 500, another 9.5 hours on the trail. Day 3. We woke long before the sun, under a moonlit sky and biting cold. After breaking camp quickly, we began the steady climb up to Muir Pass. At the top stands the John Muir Memorial Shelter, an architectural marvel of dry stacked stone constructed in 1930 by the Sierra Club. Designed to protect hikers from sudden mountain storms, it blends seamlessly into the high alpine landscape. When we arrived, we found 2 friends inside, wrapped up in their final section of the Pacific Crest Trail.
Red hut is beautiful.
That's cool.
It's nice. Yeah.
It's a perfect color for that.
I got a picture of one of these huts. These are neat, I know.
We shared coffee and stories inside that stone circle, grateful for its warmth and for its history. The descent from Muir Pass was slow and icy. We picked our way past Helen Lake, named after John Muir's other daughter, its surface still partially frozen, then dropped into the depths of Conte Canyon, a dramatic shift from barren granite to lush forests. There, we paused again for coffee, soaking in the last few moments of quiet before the day's final ascent. The climb out of Conte Canyon along the Bishop Pass Trail was steep and relentless, with each switchback revealing broader views of the deep, glacially carved valley below. As we gained elevation, the landscape transformed into a high alpine wonderland. Crystal clear tarns, rugged peaks, and wide open skies creating a dramatic and unforgettable backdrop to the effort. The climb up the Bishop Pass Trail through Doozy Basin was long and demanding. Named after early explorer Jules Doozy, the basin is filled with alpine tarns and wildflower meadows. As we ascended, we passed shimmering pools and granite islands, each step a visual reward. As we approached the top of Bishop Pass, the trail wound through a stunning landscape of jagged granite, scattered snowfields, and wind-swept alpine terrain. The air grew thin and cold, and each breath came harder as we climbed higher. But the raw beauty surrounding us, towering peaks, shimmering rock, and endless sky, made the effort feel deeply rewarding. Finally, we reached Bishop Pass, just shy of 12,000 feet above sea level. From the top, we looked out across the South Fork of Bishop Creek. Below us lay Bishop Lake, Saddler Rock Lake, and Long Lake, each glowing with glacial blues and greens. The descent was swift, spurred on by thoughts of food and rest. We cruised past Long Lake and followed the trail to its conclusion at South Lake. The loop was complete. We touched the sign, took a deep breath, and drove straight into Bishop for a well-earned feast at a Mexican restaurant.
Burritos. Oh man, we're so good at acting. Like,
Was that awkward or what?
Our final day totaled 25.8 miles with 3,900 feet of elevation gain and a staggering 5,600 feet of descent over 11 hours. The North Lake to South Lake loop had lived up to every expectation. Challenging, beautiful, and deeply rewarding. A journey I won't soon forget.